Hello everybody, the X-Spider Films here, and I know I'm a little bit late on this, but as you know, the Amazing Spider-Man issue 700 came out, and in case you don't know what the big deal about this is, and you live under a rock, well, if you're a comics fan who lives under a rock, then Dr. Octopus and Spider-Man switch bodies in The Amazing Spider-Man number 698. Then, some stuff happened in 699, which I didn't read, so I wouldn't know. And then, Peter Parker and Dr. Octopus's body died in 700, but he was able to convince Peter Parker that to have a change of heart and become the next Spider-Man, the quote-unquote superior Spider-Man. And honestly, about that, I'm not complaining that we're gonna end up with another Spider-Man that has a similar value set as the last Peter Parker, but this one's going to be a bit more harsh on bad guys, I guess. But the problem I see is that he did this through showing his memories to Dr. Octopus, the death of Uncle Ben, the death of Gwen Stacy, all that stuff. And I just have a question. How is Dr. Octopus not intelligent enough to go, wait a second, that was Peter, not me. I don't need to feel guilty about this. And then, you know, go on his merry way and do whatever the heck he wants to. Well, it's a comic book. And let's face it, it's only temporary anyway. I mean, look at the backlash. And look at stupid people sending Dan Slott death threats, because that just makes sense. Really. But let's take a step back. As we all know, Peter Parker's origin is he is bit by a spider, uses his powers in a greedy way, his uncle dies. And then came the saying, with great power comes great responsibility. But do you really think he values the power? Do you really think Dr. Octopus would value the power and responsibility saying? Honestly, I think he wouldn't. I think he would go back on his merry way and do whatever the heck he wants. I don't know. Maybe become Spider-Ock with mechanical tentacles, because he knows how to make those. Unless his disease was caused by the mechanical tentacles, in which case then I probably wouldn't make the same mistake twice. But if you really don't like the newer comics, just do what I've been doing lately, reading the older ones. I mean, I've been reading old comics. Let's see. I read Kraven's Last Hunt. I read, if I remember correctly, The Amazing Spider-Man 271 and 272, and those are the issues where they really started fleshing out Mary Jane's character more with the unhappy home life. And if I do have the wrong issues about that, I'm sorry, no, I don't have those issues sitting in front of me, because, well, I'm just sitting down and talking. I have nothing really in mind other than Spider-Man. But they really missed the point of Peter Parker if you're making him Dr. Octopus now. The point of Peter Parker is that he was a nice guy who really put other people before him. And the new Spider-Man is Dr. Octopus, so we all know that he's going to be a arrogant guy who will just sit back and just, I don't know. What's Dr. Octopus with a new set of values going to do? Well, I guess we'll find out in the new series, but from what I heard, not a lot of people are buying it. Well, on the subject of the new Spider-Man series, quit sending Dan Slott death threats. I mean, in the interviews and stuff, he seems to be a nice guy. I mean, just because his writing isn't to your taste doesn't mean you go like, you die. I mean, did Sam Raimi and everyone get death threats when Spider-Man 3 came out? I honestly don't know. But Spider-Man has been home to some of the best stories in comic book history. The Black Suit Saga is one of my personal favorites. The death of Gwen Stacy. His origin is excellent. I especially like the ultimate version of the origin, in which case it took up 4 whole issues, so you really got to know Uncle Ben before he died in it. Had more of an impact, even though you're sitting there going, yeah, he's gonna die. Let's see. Honestly, the main draw to Peter Parker is that he deals with normal problems, which he doesn't do as much now in the comics because 1, he's dead, and 2, before that he was working at Horizon Labs, which is a leading scientific place in America, and he was like building stealth suits and armored suits and all that fun stuff. And honestly, people said, oh, they're screwing this up, he isn't like Iron Man. I honestly like the technological suits. I like the stealth suits especially because, well, I like a stealthy Spider-Man. When you think about it, he's really gotten the skill set for it. I mean, he can stick to walls and ceilings. And if you're looking for someone, that's gonna come out of nowhere and attack you, the last place you're gonna look is up. I mean, if you were fighting Batman, would you look up and then look behind you? There you go. And I guess if you knew it was Spider-Man, you'd be looking all over the place, but if you can't see him because of the stealth suit, what you gonna do now? But the what to talk about now? I know I have something that I wanted to talk about. Yes. I wanted to talk about the oh yeah, here's my list. I wanted to talk about the multiple ways that Spider-Man's been written. You don't need to have a new character be Spider-Man to have him be a bit of an angrier guy. I mean, he has went from happy to a bit more angry, happy again, multiple times. A good example is after Aunt May, quote-unquote, died in the original comics, and Peter Parker really just went nuts, pretty much. I mean, he got really mad at everything. I mean, he almost beat the Scorpion to death. And he also started being stopped being a bit more of a cheery comic in the 1980s, at least from what I've read, because he wouldn't seem that much of a joking guy in Kraven's Last Hunt. But then again, he was buried alive and he had every right to just be ticked off as heck. I know this doesn't really have anything to do with the stories themselves, but it really does help. Spider-Man has been home to some really good artwork. I especially like Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man, and I have multiple issues drawn by Todd McFarlane. but I grabbed them because of the storylines, not because of his art. Art doesn't make a book for me, it's who wrote it. But Todd McFarlane really did a lot for the character. As far as I know, he was the first to do the really dynamic swinging poses and the webs that looked like ropes instead of just the elongated spider web like Ditko did. And Ditko did a really good job drawing the character as well. He really defined what he should be. I mean, instead of just walking in the front door, he would go in through a window and then instead of just standing there, he would be sitting on a wall. It's little touches like that. And I don't mean for this to be a Spider-Man history lesson. I'm just trying to talk about things that I like about the character and things that you can also go back and enjoy instead of sending Dan Slott death threats. And look at his costumes. He's really had some of the best costumes that any character has had. I mean, the only character that comes up though in costume quality is Batman, because let's face it, Batman just looks awesome. But Spider-Man's had the original red and blue costume, which looks good from any angle, and then he's had the black costume, which is personally my favorite costume in comics. And Spider Armor, I like that one. I own the only issue that has appeared in. The new Spider Armor is cool. Stealth Suit, Big Time, which it's normally called, Future Foundation, the list just goes on and on and on. And he's like anything else. There are parts that you like and parts that you don't like. Like, people don't like Batman and Robin, the movie. People don't like the Clone Saga, even though I like that better than some. You get the idea. And actually the entire point of the Clone Saga is that they felt that they were kind of losing the lightheartedness of the Spider-Man comic books because it seemed to be getting a little bit more dark. Out of the late 80s comics I've read, I can actually see that. Spider-Man Torment, Kraven's Last Hunt, that seems to be coming up a lot. Sub-City. So I can kind of see it. But honestly, everyone would have liked the Clone Saga a lot more if they didn't pull the big, oh look, Ben Reilly's actually Peter Parker. At least eventually they realized the mistake that they made and had the Green Goblin kill Ben Reilly and then guarantee that Peter's not the clone. I liked Ben Reilly's Spider-Man costume though. I know some people didn't, but I did. And let's see. The cartoons are really good. The best Spider-Man cartoon out there is definitely the Spectacular Spider-Man. And a bit of a fun fact, you know the 90s Spider-Man cartoon? Yeah, they had a thing about violence at Fox. Spider-Man only threw 3 punches in the entire 6-season series. And looking back on it, that's about right. He did not punch people all that much. He punched the Green Goblin, the Scorpion, and someone else who slips my mind. So I know it wasn't Venom, which really kind of stinks. Venom kind of deserves a good punch in the face. And lately in the comics, they've tuning the negative Clone Saga into a positive. The new Scarlet Spider books, I don't have them all yet. I'm not up to date. But I've really been enjoying the new Scarlet Spider. I've been enjoying the new Ultimate Spider-Man, even though I was kind of ticked off at first. And this lately seems to be the time of let's do something new with stuff. I mean, the DC New 52. I haven't read much of that, but I've really been enjoying the action comics of it, and not so much the Batman comics. I haven't read as much of those. I've been getting the Nightfall Saga, stuff like that. But this video isn't about Batman or Superman, it's about Spider-Man. Speaking of Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 comes out in 2014. Electro is the villain, and they're bringing in a new actress whose name slips my mind to play Mary Jane. Hopefully this does a good Mary Jane rather than the Mary Jane in the Spider-Man movies, who was likable enough, but in older movies she was kidnapped and then Spider-Man had to save her. And the thing in Spider-Man 3 where she gets fired from her job and gets mad at Peter for not knowing even though she doesn't tell him, that just doesn't seem right at all. But let's see. Well, we're at about 16 minutes. And I just have one small thing that I want to talk about. So, sorry for the large pause that I had earlier. I wanted to talk about that at the end of the day, this is truly temporary. And that they can really change things and bring people back however they want to. I mean, in the Batman Under the Red Hood, Jason Todd came back because of a big event that happened with the Infinite Crisis, and then he just somehow managed to come back to life in a big universe-shattering thing. And let's face it, they will always just continue. Even if they don't bring Peter Parker back, they're just going to always keep continuing to make new versions of him. I mean, we have Ultimate Noir, that one manga type one where he's a ninja. So there are so many different versions of this character that is astounding. And the thing is that most of them actually manage to be interesting and good comics. So, honestly, don't send in slot death threats at all. I know I've brought that up multiple times, but it's just wrong just because writing isn't to your taste. And, well, enjoy the Spider-Man stuff that you have if you don't enjoy the new stuff. And hey, there's always action figures, right? This is the X-Spider Films. It's nice to be back. Sorry about the hiatus. My computer wasn't working, and then after I did fix it, I just couldn't get myself back into video making as much. So I'm back now. I'm hopefully going to get back to daily videos, and I'll see you all tomorrow.